glows.
Nice.
All right. Somewhere outside of Sandpoint, along a long, muddy road, the wind carries the scent of damp earth and distant fire. The rain has stopped, but the ground still clings to every footstep, pulling, sucking, eager to claim whatever it can. The reeds bend with the weight of moisture, their brittle tops swaying, whispering to one another in the hush of the fading storm. Natalin moves carefully, her boots sinking into the muck. She keeps her eyes low, scanning the path ahead. The grasses to the side, the spaces where small feet might have stumbled. Lumi had come this way, she's sure of it. The faint clawed impressions in the softer patches of earth, the occasional scrape where tiny hands had grasped at reeds for balance. And there, deeper in the mud, the uneven hoof prints of a donkey struggling through the muck, stolen from Sandpoint in a desperate bid to flee. The wrong direction. Lumi had been running, but not towards safety, away from it. Natalin exhales sharply. Why did you run? What did you see? She kneels, brushing aside the tall grass, hoping for another sign. Instead, she finds something else. Shattered against a rock, the ceramic shards lie like the ribs of some forgotten beast, their edges dulled by the rain. A thick golden smear of butter clings to the largest fragment, streaked with mud, pooling in the shallows of the road's uneven path. She tilts her head, eyes narrowing. Not just a lost bundle. Not just another traveler's misfortune. Half hidden in the filth, softened at the edges, but still intact, a note lies among the ruins. The ink is blurred, the paper creased where the water has begun its slow work. Yet the name on the outside remains legible, unmistakable. Velynia. Natalin exhales, her grip tightening around the damp parchment as she rises. Somewhere beyond the road, beyond the black skeletons of trees standing watch in the distance, there is an answer. A reason. A path forward, or a warning to turn back. She isn't sure which she wants more. As Natalin continues along the path, we fade or pan up into the morning sky. As we pan back down, we see Moa'Kee standing alone out behind the house with the blue stones, where he had agreed to meet with Natalin for sparring at first light. But Natalin never shows Moa. Imagine we see you standing there, the wind just breeze pulling at your hair a little bit, maybe the edges of a cloak or a belt or something sort of fluttering in the breeze. How long you stand there, entirely up to you.
Surprisingly, he stands there for a little while. A good half hour. And basically just kind of standing, meditating as on the wind, as the listening to the sea, the connections. And after about a half hour, realizing that Natalin has not shown up, he goes and checks in with the blue stone person, which I'm
Jabel Sorn.
Jabel Sorn, to see when was the last time she saw Natalin.
You know, she says, looking up from her cup of tea and the book she's reading. Natalin came in well after I had already turned in for the night and was gone before I arose. And then with sort of a sideways look at you, tending to business of her own, no doubt.
Oh. Most likely. Most likely. Well, as Moa kind of thinks to himself, slightly insulted, but realizing that probably something's up, that he won't pass judgment just yet. Thanks, Jonah, and which I forgot her name of it, and proceeds to go back to the Rusty Dragon.
Okay. I think we're going to stick with you, Moa, as you walk through the streets. It's not terribly far, but you're walking a little bit across town.
The interesting thing is he's taking the long way. So he doesn't go down Main Street to Water Street over. He goes like towards Tower Street, towards the cathedral, then down High Street, and he avoids the Main Street and Water Street connection.
Eventually, as you pass through town, taking a route that is definitely out of the way, though none but yourself would perhaps know that.
Mm-hmm.
You see the usual shopkeepers and others cleaning their front stoops, opening their doors, placing fresh baked goods in the window, counting out their coin for the day, dusting their stock of their shelves. You see a few supply carts rumbling down the pathways, pulled by horses or donkeys. At one point, you see that there is a tall, thin, middle-aged man who very animatedly is talking to Sheriff Hemlock. As you pass by, where he stands by a wagon with no animal to pull it, he's saying, "I don't know. It was in the stable when I went to bed last night, and now she's gone." And you hear Sheriff Hemlock, "Can you describe it?" "It's an ass. What do you want? It's a donkey. It's an ass. Long ears, big teeth, gray." And the last thing you hear as you're passing by is the man very frustratedly going, "And if you ask it a question, it's going to respond, hee-haw, hee-haw," as he makes the hee-hawing sound that probably just got nerfed for you guys.
It came just the same.
Oh, great. And eventually you find yourself back in the Rusty Dragon. As you reach your destination, we're going to shift to Millie. Where are you? What are you doing?
Well, given that it's morning, I reckon that Millie is doing the daily preparations for baking in the kitchen of the White Deer.
Prep work, classic.
would there be an expectation after having dealt with Natalin's wounds and making sure that Father Xantus and Lumi spoke, that you would meet up with the others to continue your explorations of the undead hole?
I imagine that that's probably something that we discussed before we all parted ways. The night before, somebody said, probably Millie, to be fair, since we're neighbors, basically. Somebody said that they would tell Lumi about what the plan is. So I imagine that after, setting all of her loaves to proof, Millie would then, wipe her hands off and go over to the cathedral to find Lumi to let her know that she needs to get her butt ready because we're going into the hole later today.
I like to think that Millie just has like perpetual handprints on the front of her apron that like
Absolutely.
just go down where she just wipes constantly.
Are you familiar enough with Lumi that you would just go up to Lumi's quarters?
No. I wouldn't say so. I can't imagine that Millie spends a lot of time hanging out in Lumi's room.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So, Millie would just, throw on her shawl or whatever and go over to the cathedral and look for Father Xantus to see if he knows where she can find Lumi this morning.
As you're crossing from the White Deer to the Sandpoint Cathedral, we see an older woman, probably in her 60s, out for a morning walk with her husband, as they do most mornings, and she just they watch you as you walk by, and she turns to her husband and she says, "It sure is nice to see that young lady Millie taking an interest in the gods. She's been going to that cathedral just about every day this week."
Yeah.
The old man, he has a thick mustache, eyebrows that basically look like somebody copy-pasted his mustache above each eye. We can't even see his eyes as he just reaches over and pats her hand. "Oh, that's nice, dear. That's nice. There's cathedral gods and all that."
I love them.
In my head, his name is Nigel.
His name is Nigel, of course it is.
Yep.
Rah! Classic Tim Curry.
So you enter into the cathedral, and as you head, presumably a common meeting place would be in the courtyard near the offices, and it's probably where I would imagine most time, unless you go out to the boneyard where the undead hole is. I guess that's
No.
okay. So as you head to the courtyard, you're probably waiting there a good 5 minutes or more, when you hear the footsteps behind you. They're clearly not Lumi's little taloned feet, and you see Father Xantus approaching.
Oh, Father Xantus, good morning to you.
Ah, yes. Good morning to you. Are you here to meet with Millie?
Absolutely.
Are you here to meet with Lumi?
Absolutely. I'm here to let her know because she left a little early last night. She was feeling a little under the weather. So I'm here to let her know that we're fixing to go down into the undead hole later today and maybe start looking at some of those other passages. Some ruins, perhaps.
He gives you a smile, this kind of smile that doesn't reach all the way to his eyes, as he waits for you to finish speaking when he says, "Yes, I'm afraid Lumi was not feeling very well when she returned last night. Lumi needed to get out of Sandpoint for a few days. I have sent Lumi and Natalin on a matter for the church. They will be gone for at least the next 3 or 4 days at least. So whatever business you have, I'm afraid you will have to continue without them.
Oh my.
I do apologize. It was rather abrupt.
And you sent Lumi along with Natalin?
Yes, Lumi is an adequate, well, more than adequate, is a good steward of the church and representative of the cathedral, and, well, Natalin is there for to protect her.
That's probably a good thing, although I'm sure Lumi would do quite well taking care of herself if she had to.
You do have the option, if you wish, to sense motive, if you want to see if there's anything behind.
That's the shit out of that motive, dude.
Sure, let's full send this, huh? Yeah, full send it, buddy. That's perception, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so that is, oh my. I'm going to be rolling an Owl Bear Rodeo today.
Oh, I don't even have Owlbear Rodeo open.
Nor do I. I will do now.
There will be no maps tonight, so that's why I didn't know.
That's okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
So that's 15 plus 7, 22?
Hello, perceptive much?
Let me see what Santa's
Go get him.
TC is.
He's not exactly a good liar. The man's a priest.
You can thank the die for that one, because it's really only a plus 7.
So
for me, it's not great.
Ain't bad.
What I can tell you is Xantus is a man who is often dealing with the people that come to visit the cathedral, people from several different faiths, in addition to the 6 core deities represented by the cathedral. So sometimes he seems a little out of focus, but you are he's an inscrutable man as to motives and whatever else. You don't really read anything that seems odd or
nothing unusual or untoward here.
Nope. I will have Lumi and Natalin when they return, let you know.
All right, Father, that sounds good.
I can't stop you, but I would highly recommend, based on what you've already told me, that if it's just you and the other two, I would prefer if you didn't venture into the warrens below by yourself.
Oh,
we can do it.
I don't think we're going to be doing that without Lumi with us. I mean, Thessalonian ruins, I don't know those from my butt.
Incredible.
Well, as I said, I will let Lumi know. Send her and Natalin for you whenever it is they return. If you'll excuse me, I have my morning duties to attend to.
Alrighty. Oh, if you happen to see Velynia or Moa'Kee, let them know that I'll be up at the White Deer. Otherwise, I'll just come back around the time we said we were going to meet and tell them.
All right.
Did we decide on a time we were gonna meet?
I mean, it's not
generally
like,
probably-
breakfast. Yeah,
Okay.
it's always breakfast-ish.
I'm just call you on my Nokia.
Yeah, right.
Are there
After
sending
that, you
stones
could
in
chuck it into a
Pathfinder?
brick wall.
Yes,
It'd be
yes,
fine.
there are. Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
It's we're dancing that fine line of the characters don't know that anything's different, but the players know that the other players aren't here. So
Yeah.
you're trying to just go with the flow, but also you have to pretend like you were going to do other stuff. It's
Oh, that's
it's
like-
always
yeah.
weird.
That's
Mhm.
Father Xantus right now is that text bubble that comes up. It's like, be sure you save your game. This is a high level area.
Speaking of Velynia, what are you doing
Yeah.
this morning?
I think Velynia, as we have established, Velynia is not much of a drinker, and she kind of tied one on last night. So I think Velynia probably like sleeps in, kind of. Not to push the plans. Like whenever they planned on meeting up, she would still try to make that time, but she's just kind of like she's got a little bit of a thumper this morning, and I think eventually she does kind of wake up, and she knows it's late, not only from the small amount of light coming in, but also the fact that it's pretty empty in like the common room here where all the beds are. And typically she's one of the first ones up and out, where there are still people occupying the beds. So she gets up, and assuming that we're going down into the hole, she gets her armor on, and just kind of like is slept really hard in one position, so she's just kind of like a little sore, like she's cracking her neck. And then eventually she goes to meet up wherever we decided we were going to meet up.
I guess that's up to you guys where you think you would have agreed to meet up. So far you've been meeting up
Honestly,
at the dancing the Rusty Dragon. The Dancing Dragon. That's an entirely
fun.
different establishment.
That's a strip club.
That sounds like
Anyway,
a strip club in Magnamar.
Yes. And so I guess we would probably, honestly, I would think we would meet up at the White Deer. Or wait, so Moa stays at the Rusty Dragon.
So is
Millie
Moa-
The
goes to
White Deer is closer to the cathedral.
Yeah, I think
So then the White Deer is
I think the
probably-
morning is the White Deer and the evening's the Rusty.
That makes sense. Jay, it's called Mavashti's place. It's like a
okay.
hostel.
Got it.
And it's very, very much built for people to like spend a night and then go on their way, but Velynia has been staying here for months. So anyway, once I'm all ready, I go and I meet at the White Deer. I go to meet everybody.
All right.
All right, so there we go.
Sending secret messages, you
No,
sneaky
no, no, no,
fuckers.
no.
I'm hearing a lot of typing over there. A lot of typing indeed.
I always keep the archives of Nethys and my own personal DM notes at the hand. So you also make your way across town. I think based on, let's see, I think Vashti's place.
Is right next to the cathedral.
No, it's not. Vashti's place.
Rusty's is
Vashti's is down south. Is 28.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vashti. I thought it was Rista. Okay. Vashti. 28.
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
you're
look at my mouth. Mavashti with an M.
Vashti. Got it.
I think you also catch a little bit of the end of the vendor, the poor individual bereft of donkey, complaining to Sheriff Hemlock, as you head to town, or head to the White Deer. You're already in town. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once as I balance your dice out. There you go. As go ahead and make me a perception check as you reach the white deer.
Great.
And Moa, we're gonna say that by now you would have already gotten there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that gone back to the Rusty Dragon, Natalin wasn't there. She left in the morning or later that night. Something's just off. Gone over to the white deer to figure out what's going on.
I got a 19.
Okay. As you are just as you enter, you didn't quite see her as she was let me just double check here with the white deer.
Hey, while Jake is checking the map, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we got all kinds of great designs like the one I'm wearing, the one Tamiko is wearing, and so many others. You can get our designs on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and all kinds of other great stuff. Teespring.com. Just click the link in the description for this video.
As you enter, the woman comes from a side street, so you didn't see her. Basically, as you walk into the white deer and you spot Moa and I almost said as you spot Velynia. You are Velynia. As you spot Moa and Millie, you are almost bowled over as a woman comes rushing into the tavern. Her breath is quick and uneven. Her eyes are wide with panic as she slams the door open, pushing in, almost knocking you over. As she kind of grabs hold of you, have to steady herself. She kind of grabs your arm, and you see the desperation in her eyes. Strands of dark hair clinging to her damp forehead, damp with sweat. You can see she's sweating, and you can feel as her hand is gripping your arm that she is trembling. And she grabs hold of you, and she looks around and Please, you have to help me.
What? What happened?
Have you seen my brother? Relmar, he's missing. I haven't seen him in days.
Do we
Would I
who
know this
is?
person? Yeah.
Jinx.
Hey. It's almost like we've both been playing in Jake games for a really long time.
I think, given the fact that everybody's been in Sandpoint for so long, and you may not know everybody by name, I think you all know of this woman and her brother. Mostly her brother. This is Talia Eteron. Put that in the side chat for you. And her brother is Relmar. Relmar is known to you by reputation. He is a bit of an eccentric artist. He will oftentimes disappear into his home, which is basically a live-in studio, painting incredible paintings that he sells far and wide.
An artiste.
And he is also seen to frequent probably the Rusty Dragon, very noticeable by the fact that he is always covered in paint. So you definitely recognize this woman as she's pleading, Wilmar, he's missing. I haven't seen him for days.
Millie ducks behind the bar and grabs a glass and pours a couple of fingers of the cheap whiskey
Yeah,
I can't do the
kinda-
good stuff because it'll
No.
piss off what's his bucket.
You
So
already give away. Already give away all the crockery. You are on
right?
strike 2.
I know. So I pour a couple fingers of the cheap whiskey for her and set it down in front of her.
I'm guiding her to like a seat, like at a table.
Moa's just looking at this like it's morning and you're forced drinking and you call me a drunk? Moa's just kind of sitting back chuckling.
Does he say that?
No, he's just self-chuckling.
Oh, okay.
He's thinking it to himself.
Mhm. Yeah.
I see Moa's stupid shit-eating grin, and I give him a look. Such a look.
Millie's patting this girl on her shoulder.
Oh dear, tell us when's the last time you saw him?
She's still breathing shakily. She's trying to steady, holding this glass with 2 hands as she takes a sip. I went to his house thinking he might be sick or the walls, every inch of them covered in paintings, horrible paintings. Sandpoint in ruins, fire swallowing the buildings, corpses rising from the graveyard, and so much worse. She digs her fingers into her arms as she cradles herself. The late unpleasantness, the fires, the blood, the twisted things from back then. He painted it all like he saw it happen yesterday. Something is wrong. Something took him. Or
Were there any other traces of him? Was there a sign of a struggle?
Maybe painted footsteps leading out and away?
I had
Great
to
hypothesis,
There's
dude.
that much fucking paint
Yes,
around,
of
right?
course, that's
Like,
a great idea. Yeah.
I had to force my way into the door. Almost all of the furniture is broken. Paint is everywhere. You have to see it.
Yes, of course. We'll check it out.
Will-
I think
will
that's
you-
as good a task as any.
Will you help?
And I look at the others.
Absolutely. Let me get my shawl.
Millie, while you're back there, another 3 fingers of the cheap whiskey, please. If you can sneak it away.
Millie just kind of pours a glass and slides it over to Velynia.
And she smells it and kind of like crinkles up her nose a little bit, and just like, hair of the dog, and just pounds it. Like, ugh, ugh. All right, let's go solve the crime. And I look down at Talia, and I'm like, don't worry, dear, we'll find him.
Thank you. I don't know what led me here, but I'm glad I found you. Please come. I will take you to Relmar's house. And
Would we know maybe already where they live, or no?
they don't live together.
Sandpoint's not a huge town. Oh, okay. Okay, never mind then.
She said that she hadn't seen him for days, went to check on him because she thought he might be sick. And she even explains to you as you're walking, you're heading down Church Street, and I think briefly, Moa.
Mm-hmm.
She is leading you down Main Street,
Okay.
heading in the direction of Water Street. when you get about halfway down Main Street, she turns down Bent Street, which is little more than an alley. And you kind of get in this area, and there's a bunch of smaller houses that are crammed together. And that's where she ultimately leads you. But as she explains, as you're walking, she's still kind of holding her shawl around herself, and kind of occasionally a sob breaks out, but she's composed herself a little bit. When Relmog, when he gets into, well, a fit of inspiration, it's not unusual to not hear from him for a day or two, but eventually he turns up for food. Even if I have to remind him to eat sometimes. But we always have meal together at least twice a week, and he hadn't shown up for 4 days. I at first just assumed he was on another bout of inspiration, but thought I better check on him in case he had turned ill. And as you turn down Bent Street, and you see some of the smaller houses, or almost like apartments, I guess. She leads you to one. You can see something from outside. You can see that something is covering the windows. And you can see that the door is not quite all the way closed. Talia says, I had to break down the door. I honestly didn't think that was something that I could do. But I guess I was desperate.
Moa kind of leans over to Millie for a second, and it's like, quietly, it's like, so this is one of those pro bono, we're not getting paid jobs for goodwill, right?
Millie lightly smacks Moa on the side of the head.
I just want to understand if this is that type of job. Yeah, it's the goodwill feeling.
Yes, dear.
Okay, just clarifying.
I take Talia by the shoulder and I just say, there's no need for you to come in there with us. Why don't you wait out here?
She actually breathes a sigh of relief.
Here, he can stay with you.
And Millie will kind of nudge Monte Cristo over, and he just kind of wraps himself around her legs, purring.
Yes.
She is sufficiently distracted as she crouches down and starts giving Monte Cristo scritches. And who's gonna open the door?
Me. I have my sword out. I draw my sword.
That's a square.
Yes, it is. Got it.
The door to Romar Ederon's house groans open. Its hinge is shrieking like a wounded animal. The air inside is thick, stagnant, reeking of oil paints, turpentine, and something sour like spoiled meat left too long in the heat.
Ooh, uh-oh.
The dim afternoon, or rather late morning, light from outside is barely penetrates the interior. The windows are covered in long, erratic brushstrokes of black and crimson, smearing across the glass as if an enormous hand dragged its fingers through wet paint. The effects makes the shadows within pulse unnaturally, the room seeming deeper, more distorted than it should be. The front entrance is in complete disarray. Furniture lies overturned, chairs and tables are broken, as if they had been thrown in a fit of madness. A brass oil lamp lies shattered against the floor, dried rivulets of dark liquid spreading out like grasping fingers. Scattered across the warped wooden floorboards are torn sheets of parchment, sketches of faces twisted in agony, their mouths stretching open in silent screams, their eyes black pits of despair. And then, the walls. They are no longer mere walls, but vast sprawling canvases of horror. Paintings crawl across every surface, unfurling in chaotic, fevered madness. Scenes of Sandpoint and ruin stretch from floor to ceiling. Flames licking at the sky as dark silhouettes flee through smoke-choked streets. The Sandpoint Cathedral stands engulfed in spectral blue fire, while monstrous hulking shadows with too many limbs prowl between burning homes, snatching fleeing townsfolk with grotesque elongated hands. Another wall displays a grotesque reinterpretation of the latent pleasantness from 17 years prior. The Sandpoint lumber mill is there, but its walls appear to bleed, and hanging from its rafters are the faceless corpses of those who died in the original killings, their bodies painted in such stark, agonizing detail that they seem to twitch in the dim light. The figure of Natalin stands in the center of this horror, her eyes empty sockets, her skeletal fingers outstretched toward the viewer as if reaching through the paint itself. Then, that is the scene that you see as I just imagine as you enter, all of this is the camera panning around you and then cutting to all of these scenes and the details, and as you take all of this in, what would you like to do?
Millie just kind of sighs and says,
It probably was like that. I didn't actually see the fires. I just saw the aftermath. Way back when.
It wasn't pretty.
Velynia, I think you guys would notice is almost abnormally still, like so still you're like not even sure she's breathing. Like she's just like staring locked in these drawings, and is just because she was not here even like barely for the aftermath of the late unpleasantness, and just kind of shakes her head as she kind of stares back at this interpretation of Natalin, and is kind of instantly stricken with the Father Xantus like does he want to like bring her back? Does he want to seance with this being? Remind me, what is his
all
plans?
He wants to do is use a spirit calling ritual to summon her spirit forth to offer her absolution and forgiveness.
Perfect. All the same, Velynia is now all of a sudden thinking that might not be the best idea.
Father
As
Xantus
she's
gonna
locked.
summon that spirit, and it's gonna go into this painting like fucking
As she-
Xanadu.
Yes, as Velynia is locked in like a staring contest with this
Great.
horrifying painting.
Um,
All of the realizations are hitting all at once.
Jake, tell me about this room real quick. Are the windows like level to us, or are they like way up high?
So this is
Cathedral
not.
ceilings in here.
We're
15 footers,
talking. So this place, I'm picturing it's in the truest sense of the word, it's a studio apartment. In that it is one big sort of rectangular space. It does have a balcony that runs on the sides and back with
Like
more
a catwalk inside or a balcony outside?
inside, so that there is sort of a second level that has, that's just wide enough for there's maybe a couple chairs up there, some shelving, several canvases that have since been painted over, and the paintings continue. The front where you entered has windows on either side that are at the normal height, and then higher up are a couple more windows that would be at the ends of either of this sort of balcony area, and then directly above the door. So those windows would probably be, what, 12, 15 feet up?
But it's pretty dark in here, you said, right?
It's dim.
Dark.
It would be considered dim light, yeah.
Okay. Well, the first thing Millie's going to do is she's going to look around. She's going to find a rag. She's going to grab the rag, pour a little bit of turpentine on there, and just start, like, cleaning a area of one of the windows to let some more light in.
Ah, so smart.
I would like you to make me... No, okay, never mind. You're fine.
The suspense is killing me.
Nope, you're fine. So you start cleaning one of the
Jake's
windows.
like, is the turpentine going to kill you? Let's find out.
Well, for a minute there, I'm
this
like...
This is not a well-ventilated space.
Yes, for a minute there, having described this place being heavy with the scent of turpentine, and you're like, well, it's dim light. I'm going to grab a rag, some turpentine, and I was waiting to hear and strike a match.
She's using the turpentine to cut the paint on the glass.
Yeah.
Smart.
Velynia and Moa.
I think Velynia's first instinct is to kind of start sifting through these pages to see if there's any like actual like written word, like if there was a journal of some sort, if he kind of devolved into madness or what, if there's any clues to where he might be now.
Go ahead and give me perception or occultism.
Oh.
Moa, what are you doing?
My occultism is a -1, so.
Moa's looking at the pictures again, and in his drawings, is the red dragon depicted at all?
Ooh.
Okay.
And then based off of that, he's looking around, seeing if there's anything moving or alive or hiding anywhere in the vicinity.
The seek action?
The seek action.
Yeah. Okay. What skill does the Seek use? Did you just say I don't know?
Something that he just got a natural 20 on?
Yes, I did.
Hey,
Yes, I did.
Let's go.
I was thinking
Bingo,
perception, but it's the seek action is pretty much any action.
Okay. And
I got a 27 on my perception to look
and
for.
I'm going to give
written-
you a... So you got a 27. I'm going to give you a +2 circumstance bonus, both of you, because Millie is allowing more light to come into the space through cleaning the windows. So your 27
Yes,
becomes a
support
29,
character.
and what did you end up with ultimately?
28.
Okay. With the +2?
Yeah.
This, as you are looking around this space, Millie, go ahead and make me, while you're cleaning, I would like you to make me an Arcana or Religion check. Unless you
Arcana, please.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're going to get your own +2 bonus as well.
Perfect. That would make this a +8. 13 plus 8. Math,
21.
Cari, math. 21.
13 plus 8 is 21.
Perfect.
Sorry.
So let me see here. Looking to see how well you guys did on your checks. Both Moa and Moa, what did you use for your?
I used perception.
Both of you critically succeeded.
Oh.
Millie, you have a regular success on your search.
Congratulations as well.
Better a success
So-
than a fail.
Damn right.
Velynia, you start off crouching down and picking up. They're not so much pages as they are. It looks like somebody took several sheafs of parchment that had picture very rough and violent charcoal drawings, and they've been torn into multiple fragments. So you're bending down, you're picking up these pieces, kind of looking through them, and you're not really seeing anything familiar in that. However, it's in doing this as you move some of these, in fact, several. I picture this camera angle kind of low looking at you as you're starting to sift through these images and kind of gather them together. And the camera begins to rise and tilt to an overhead view. And we see what you see as you remove these sheets of parchment. You are standing at the edge of a very detailed painting of a very deep pit. The pit is painted in shades of purples and blacks and dark blues. And you notice that there are elements in this painting, and you begin to, as you just kind of glance around, you start to realize, as more light is coming into the room, some of these paintings, in fact, not just some of them, but all of them, seem to be affected by the light. The shadows shift. You swear some of these figures, these creatures with too many arms depicted moving through the streets of Sandpoint, you swear that one was over there and now it seems to have moved slightly.
Nope.
But you also notice...
This is actual real nightmares for me sometimes. I hate it. I hate it.
You notice that there are depicted in the various dark shades of paint in the paintings and in this pit, there are symbols and runes. You have seen recently some of these symbols and runes. They're Thessalonian.
Oh, recognizes them.
Moa.
I have called Millie and Moa's attention.
Let's get to Millie and Moa, what they discover simultaneously.
Yep.
Moa.
Yes.
Actually, I want to shift to Millie first.
Millie looks over when Velynia calls her name, looks at the pit painting, and goes, "Oh, I don't like that."
Millie, as you kind of, as that happens, you're moving back over to this place where the turpentine, and you actually find that there is a ceramic jar. In fact, you recognize it as one that belongs to the white deer.
What?
That is filled with paintbrushes. It's covered in paint and stains. It looks like it was probably stolen from there a long time ago.
A missing crockery.
And Relmar has appropriated a piece of crockery that he's using for a paintbrush jar. But next to it, you see that there are several recently mixed paints, and there is the palette and brushes that Relmar was using. And as you go to get a little bit more turpentine, you sort of lean forward and you hear from the palette,
"Oh, I don't like that either."
You hear whispering. You hear an unknown language being spoken in the paints. These paints, these pigments, have been infused with some kind of magic.
Detect magic.
Okay.
Yes,
Is that just an action?
I'm gonna detect magic, and it's gonna be like staring at freaking LED headlights on an SUV. Like,
right. Look away! Look away!
So,
avert gaze.
Detect magic is...
It's a cantrip.
Do you have evasion?
Let's see. It's a cantrip, which means it automatically scales to what, 3?
Nice.
Jay? I don't know if scaling does anything for it. Doesn't say.
It does. Well, it says if it's heightened. So if your cantrips are scaled at 3, at heightened 3rd rank, you learn
I don't see a difference.
You
learn the rank or level of the most powerful magic effect the spell detects. Could be handy.
So as you sort of almost instinctively cast this detect magic, there's a moment where it is this sudden flare of, from every surface in the room, you are just almost instantly blinded by the magic that is infused into every square inch of this paint. So it takes a moment as you suddenly have to guard yourself against the blinding flare of magic. And when you can recover, you can determine that these paints are infused with some sort of dream magic, a dream essence.
Oh my, somebody infused these paints with dream magic.
Specifically,
Velynia's gaze shifts away from the pit and just thinks that this is doesn't know what the hell any of those words mean.
Moa.
Yes.
As you are searching around this room, you first notice on the far sides of the room, underneath where the underside of these sort of balcony areas, there's a few shelves and what probably served as a sort of kitchenette, if you will, in the corner, a bed, and a couple pieces of furniture there. But you notice in all of this mess, even the bookshelves on the far walls have been painted over, the books included. But you find that there is a place on the wall where a painting once was. There is a void where it is just wood. There is a canvas missing. But because you got a crit, you see it. In the farthest corner, nearly hidden behind a toppled bookshelf, you see the missing canvas peeking out from behind this shelf.
Is the canvas picture facing, or is it the back side or the front side of the canvas?
It is the
Good
front
question.
side.
Good question.
It is the front side, and you can just catch the edges that seem to be glowing, shimmering.
Ooh. We've got a glowing picture over here. I don't know about that.
Is it the same type of magic, Jake? Dream
This
magic?
is not. With Moa drawing your attention to it, this would appear, however your detect magic reveals magic to you, this is appearing in a different color.
Ooh.
And it takes
I
you...
imagine it's teal sparkles instead of purple.
You...
Or is it
Not
red?
only is it, I would say, beyond it just being these sort of, like you said, teal, you see around the edges where your detect magic seems to be going like this. Like that teal indicator that is simply a magical indicator that only you can see to tell you that this is magic. Something is pulling at the edges of it and drawing it into the painting. You have detected that there is some sort of portal energy on this painting.
Oh God.
Oh, that's painting has big portal energy.
Classic. MTD.
To learn any
Well-
more, you will have to pull the painting out to view it in its entirety.
We're all in agreement. We don't want to go into a painting, right?
If it's the only way
I think
to,
that's a good idea.
it's not a great idea for us, but if it's the only way to help her brother,
Is that what
It
we
might
think
be.
happened to it?
well, think she had to bust the door in from the outside. Nobody dragged him out of here. I think he was in here and exited some other way. And as I look around, are there any other egresses from this house?
All of the windows are the only other way out, and they were all painted shut.
I think he went out through that portal.
Doesn't mean we have to, right?
Well,
I
Moa,
mean-
have you ever thought about just doing something good for somebody?
Yes, I have. But have you thought about how we're going to get out if we go in?
well, we might be able to do something to dispel the portal.
I don't have any
once-
dispel magics on me.
I do.
But what if that traps him wherever he is?
Oh
Well-
no, dear. I meant if we go in, if necessary, we could. If we tried to use the dispel magic, it might spit us back out.
Maybe that's a. What is Moa's understanding of portal magic according to the arcane recall knowledge?
Yeah, I can't imagine that this is something Millie would have any knowledge about, really.
Well, go ahead and make that
Same.
check.
That would be an 11. That was a bad roll.
It's all right.
I mean, I could roll an Arcana, but just like looking at Millie's host of spells, I don't necessarily
Yeah.
think it's something she'd know.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think? Roll? Don't
Why
roll?
not?
Why not? You're gonna get better than I, even though I have a +9.
So you think. So this is Arcana.
Yeah.
So that's 6. Let's go to the owlbear.
You got it. This is the one. Nat
Sure,
20,
sure,
here it
sure,
comes.
sure. It's a 12, so technically I did do better than my
Yes, you did. See?
So,
And they get to add their two rolls together, right? That's how that works.
what? What did you get, Moa?
I got an 11. I rolled a 2 on the dice for an 11.
And that was using Arcana.
Yes.
Do I? And you got a what, Millie?
a 12
So
total.
combined is a 23.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, sure. Combine them.
What do either of you have for occult? Is your occult any better than Arcana?
Absolutely not.
My occult is not better than my arcana, but I do have occult.
I would allow you to re-roll one time, shifting your recall knowledge to the occult.
Okay.
I'm not trained. I'm a 0.
I have a +3.
So
Although
Moa
I'm-
will be attempting this roll solo.
And I'm gonna roll an owlbear. I roll an owlbear for a +3. 22.
Let's go, bro. Let's do it.
I remember something that my mom used to talk about when it comes to portals.
Yes. Yes.
What you remember, and just so you know, in this case, I'm still applying what I've done historically in D&D to Pathfinder. Technically, you failed with
Yeah.
a 22. However, what I like to do is your skill check is less about passing and failing, unless it comes to like critical successes. It's more about the higher you roll, the more you know.
Mhm.
So you don't know everything about this, but you know some things. And this thing that your mother told you is she kind of told you a little bit about portal magic and teleportation, and some portals are temporary and some are permanent. Some can be fleeting, like a dimension door. And some can be permanent, like teleportation circles. but there are some that use dark magics to corrupt portals, turning them into traps. And the two words, if this were sort of a flashback memory, the last three were, I don't know how many words, the last couple words that you remember your mother saying is beware of nightmare portals.
Moa's bedtime stories were really fucked up.
A bit.
Much.
Good night. Beware of nightmare portals. Sweet dreams.
He kind of reaches up, and you know he's kind of grabbing onto his bastard sword that he wears all the time. That's peace tied. So you've never seen him sheath his sword, and it is a Minkai sword. It's his father's sword, actually, but he's never unsheathed. As he's kind of holding on to it for a quick second, and just kind of comes back and goes, "Yeah, that's not a good portal. That's like that sounds like it. I get the feeling it might be one of my mother's stories of those nightmare portals, which are not good to go into. They're hard to get out of, even if you don't come out of them. Because it's a nightmare. You have to face nightmares. I'm not particularly fond of that right now, but
Nor am
clearly,
I, but is there another way?
I mean, if we had a guarantee to get back, I'd be all for it. But I mean,
I'm no more fond of going into something without a plan than anybody else. Especially unfond of it.
Isn't there like some kind of arcane school or something? Not Hogwarts, but there's something like that in this town, right?
well, there's a. I mean, we could go ask one of the sages for some knowledge.
Tarandarok Academy?
Yeah.
Well, it's more of an orphanage than an academy.
Oh.
Yeah. I would like to
We could ask for...
point, I would like to point out that if this were Baldur's Gate 3, you are literally looking at the corner of the painting sticking out from the bookshelf with the little highlight for interact. Nobody's yet seen the painting.
Oh, you want us to pull the cursed painting out and look at it, Jake? Is that what you want us to do?
I'm just saying, just as a reminder to set the scene, you have only seen the corner of the painting. You have not pulled the painting out yet.
Fine, but let me cast
see
light.
what we're dealing with.
And I light up the room.
See what we're dealing with. Yes.
I light up the room a little, cast the light spell, so it's like bright light in this area.
Before you go rushing in headlong to anything, I was just stating a fact. I'm not trying to take away
very
your
mixed messages here.
I'm not trying to take away your ability to do what you want. I was just reminding you, because we're doing Theater of the Mind, that nobody's actually seen the painting yet. You're basing this on strong magical feelings from the corner. Don't feel that you have to pull the painting out if you have other courses of action you want to take. But by all means, do pull the painting out if you want to.
We should just look at it, see what we're dealing with, and then if we can run to some magic user in town, Father Xantis, or any one of them.
It's not my fault. That's all I'm going to say. Whatever happens is not my fault.
Perhaps before we do anything, we should go and fill in the young lady and let her know what we're going to be doing and what our theory is, so that if for some reason we disappear into an alternate dimension, she can find somebody appropriate to come find us.
It's a phenomenal idea. It's a phenomenal idea. And I'd be like, I'll be back. And I go out and I'd be like, so, Talia.
What did you find?
Theory. Well, your brother is not in there. And as far as we can tell, that might be good news. Then again, there might be portal magic. We think maybe that he got pulled through a portal. A nightmare portal, perhaps. That's the vibe that my more magical friends are getting. So, what we are going to do, we think, is we're going to check out the portal. We're just going to look at it for now, but in the event that something happens, that we don't come out in, I don't know, an hour or so, we need you to go to the magic users in town and calmly and rationally, so they don't think you're insane, tell them what happened.
Okay.
Sheriff Hemlock, 2.
Also Sheriff Hemlock, I guess. And Velynia kind of rolls her eyes.
Okay.
And Velynia, as she's on her way back in the door, she turns to her one more time and just kind of like winks again and be like, "Try not to worry, dear. We'll find him." And then ducks back into the little apartment.
She just kind of huddles there for a moment. She's sitting on a bench outside the houses with Monte Cristo curled up on her lap. As you head back in.
All right. She knows the plan. Moa, would you do the honors?
Idea.
Yes.
Let's stand away, and maybe we can move the stuff away from in front of the picture, so we're actually not touching it.
That's probably a good idea. Is it facing? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Millie, do you have like
Velynia...
a magic hand that can move it?
Well, I mean, my hands are pretty good at what they do, but they're not that magic like that.
I don't know if you have a spell that you can, like, move it or anything like that.
There is a bookcase that's blocking the painting that you could move the bookcase without touching the painting itself.
Okay.
Velynia rolls her eyes and be like, "Moa, help me." I think we both
and Moa's just got this look of like, I can't believe we're doing this. I'm gonna get sucked into this painting. I know it, and they're still gonna blame me.
Oh, I just realized you meant legally distinct mage hand. No, I don't have anything like that.
Of course. No, I don't have any.
Spectral hand, whatever you call it.
That's incredible.
Legally distinct
so
mage
Moa
hand.
and I are like that wood on wood squeaky sound at me, like like pull this bookshelf a little bit.
You
at a
find
time.
as you move it, the left hand side of the bookcase doesn't really move. It sort of pivots, and you find it's much easier to move as the bookcase swings away on a hinge.
Secret tunnel.
Secret passage.
Millie,
Secret passage.
well, Millie, as they move the door, how long is your detect magic up for?
I think it said 15 minutes. Let me double check.
As long as it's more than a minute.
If it's down, it's a cantrip, so
It's concentrate, yeah.
Concentrate means I can sustain it, right?
Yep.
Is roll
So,
die.
what you notice as they swing the door, you see first the canvas that was blocked by the bookcase. The canvas is painted in pure black. It looks like Romar may have painted black to cover whatever was originally on this painting. But the second thing you notice, Millie, is that your turquoise magic that was being sucked in towards this moves with the bookcase. And as you look to where Velynia and Moa stand, It is the back of the bookcase on which there is another painting. On the back of the bookcase is painted a doorway. Unlike the others, this one is different. Its edges shimmer. The black paint is still wet, glistening unnaturally. The frame is adorned with whisper-thin sigils, etched in strokes of deep violet and crimson, twisting like living veins. At the threshold of this painted door stands a figure, Relmar Eteron himself. His body half-formed, his outstretched hands vanishing into the painted void, his face frozen in a mask of silent horror. A sudden draft rushes through the house, despite the stillness of the outside air, rustling the loose parchment on the floor. Temperature drops. Somewhere in the house, something scratches against the walls, a faint rhythmic sound like nails scraping against canvas. I need you all to make a will save.
Oh, God. No.
Nope. Don't like that.
I choose to not, please,
like
have to
that.
do that. Hey, okay, good. Fucking Cari. 29. I'm unflappable, bitches.
Okay.
I was
29
really
for
scared
Velynia.
about being quite flappable.
21.
21 for Millie.
Out of you.
18.
Moa and Millie have critically failed.
Whew.
Velynia has failed. As the wind rises
What?
and the sigils at the edge of this painted doorway shift and pulse, you all feel a sense of dizziness. And the room begins to spin faster and faster. More and more violently.
Oh.
Until suddenly it stops. And you are all standing on the painted streets of Sandpoint. Multi-limbed shadowy figures moving in the background distance. Sandpoint Cathedral engulfed in flame. Blue arcane fire. And her hollow eyes looking over the entire scene is Nualia, as you have been pulled into Relmar's nightmare paintings. And that is where we're going to take a break.
Oh my God.
Millie
I gotta
turns to Moa and says,
Maybe we should look at the painting, he says.
Oh my God. A 29 is a fail. That we are in trouble. We're in danger.
All right.
Come.
We're going to go ahead
That's why I
and
wanted to do flashback scenarios, because we would have had the plot armor to live.
Nope.
Plot armor.
my plan is to have Natalin and Lumi come back to find you all three dead.
Yep. They're going to go on their own little private bring your friends back to life quest. Let's go.
All right.
Assures me that he balanced these encounters. So we'll see. We'll see how that
Mhm.
goes.
Yes.
Yep.
He said he did his best. So, yeah.
Yep.
We'll be back in just a few minutes to see what happens on the other side.
Oh no.
Sandpoint stands, but it is changed, distorted as if seen through a fevered dream. The sky hangs low, its colors bruised with deep purples and dull oranges, as though the sun has forgotten whether it is rising or setting. A haze lingers over the town, not mist, but something thicker, like the breath of unseen things exhaling from the cracks between buildings. The wind carries voices, faint and distant, their words just beyond understanding. The streets remain, but their lines waver, their edges blurring as if they were painted on damp canvas. Shadows stretch too far from flickering lanterns, pooling in the alleyways where shapes shift and scatter the corner of the eye. The cathedral's spire stands against the sky, but its reflection in the harbor water is wrong, twisting and writhing as though it does not belong to the same world. People move through the town, but their faces are indistinct, brushstrokes of uncertainty. Some glance over their shoulders as though they know they are being watched. Others pause, their heads tilted, as if listening to a voice no one else can hear. The rusty dragon sign sways in the wind, creaking on its hinges. The paint cracked and peeling. Yet no time has passed since it was last touched. At the edges of town, near the graveyard, the trees lean inward, their branches tangled as though whispering secrets. The cliffs loom taller than they should, their surfaces etched with shapes that resemble faces, half-formed, caught mid-expression. The sea moves sluggishly against the shore, reflecting the town in shifting, uneasy patterns. And through it all, beneath every careful stroke of Remar's brush, there is a feeling, a presence, a town on the edge of waking, caught between reality and something else.
Oof.
What would you like to do?
So, are people in this painting like running away, or are they just existing?
Think of it almost like stop motion, but instead of sudden shifts, they seem to fade. People are moving, but where somebody's there, then suddenly they fade into a different image. They're stills painted by Relmar's brush, but as if he were painting only one frame every 2 or 3 seconds.
Oof.
You are in Sandpoint, as painted by Relmar. The horrific images of the cathedral engulfed in flame and the strange figures and Nualia rising over the town are on the far side. You are standing outside the Rusty Dragon.
What's the vibe? I'm very much feeling Relmar's like fear and all of this in this painting. What is the vibe of his interpretation of the Rusty Dragon? Is it a place of warmth, or is it just as horrific as everything?
The entirety of Sandpoint is the what's the word I'm looking for? The entirety of what I was using as a mental inspiration for this, I almost just combined with Sandpoint to say Shando Point. It is Sandpoint inspired by Drift Chapel, Shadows over Drift Chapel. Tamiko is familiar with that one. I don't know if the other two are. Grimdark is the word I would use to describe everything. The Rusty Dragon is a place of warmth and familiarity to all of you, but it seems uninviting and nightmarish as it stands before you.
Basically, there's nothing good here, Cari.
Great. Noted. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So I guess are there sounds here? Like is there or is it silence?
It is not silence. The most present sound that you hear is a continuous this whispering.
I call out Relmar's name. I want to see if he's in here.
As you call out Relmar's name, the word Relmar with extra R's appears in the air in front of you, painted in rapid strokes
wow.
as it draws out and then fades small, as it seems to, in that same sort of fading stop motion, seems to glide away into the distance. But before it reaches the end of the road, a shadow reaches out from one of the alleyways and grabs the word Relmar and pulls it into the alleyway.
Velynia is looking with horror at this scene and just turns to the others and kind of like shrugs. She's like unwilling to speak again.
You're muted.
It's almost like
Jake.
There's an enchantment, Moa. We can't hear
No
you.
words appear when Moa tries to
I was
speak.
like, he was trying to speak and it was just silent for a second. And he's just,
Yeah. Oh God.
It almost looked like those. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you will. Those words.
Sorry. Yes. And Velynia does kind of give like a like nod at that, like, yep, point taken.
Those words were traveling as if it was leading us somewhere, but something grabbed it out. Maybe we said the names again, but follow it a little bit closer, and maybe it'll lead us somewhere. I don't know. That's the impression I got.
A place to start. Yeah, it's as good a place to start as any. Millie, do you have any ideas?
Oh, I've got nothing, dear.
So Moa will start walking towards close to where that alley was, but not go into the alley, but stay, a good 10, 15 feet away.
It's a considerable way. It's like the equivalent of like 100 feet or so down the street.
So start walking down, and as
I walk with him.
As we get closer, kind of looking around to make sure we're not getting jumped, staying in the main road center, so that like I said, we're hopefully not getting pulled into the shadows. And then I'm like, what was that artist's name again?
Relmar,
where are you?
The words Relmar and then where are you begin floating away down into that perspective. That same alleyway, Relmar snatched out of the air. A little bit closer, the words where are you are grabbed. It takes a little bit longer as you see from the painted streets. You see the shadows sort of elongate, looking almost like wet paint, wrapping around the word where are you as it's trying to pull away and then pulling it back in like some kind of prey into a cave. As you walk down the street, three things. First, Tamiko, roll a D100.
Oh, yeah.
As we have to determine if you actually were holding on to a can of turpentine or jar of turpentine.
68, one less than nice.
So, if you are with dead on, if I roll dead on or within 12 of either side, then you do have it.
Oh, dang it.
The 96. So you must have dropped the jar of turpentine. Nope. Turpentine.
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 Serpentine.
Let's go.
The second thing is, each of you has an aura around you. As you move through this painting, it's like somebody has taken lighter brush strokes and sort of created this illuminated aura around you.
What color is mine?
I don't know. What color is it?
Purple.
Are you sure you want to go with purple?
What colors are your guys's? Yeah.
Millie's
Okay.
is yellow, like cheer and butter.
Moa's is like a green. It's like a light, like a bright green, but there's also some emerald green in it. But there's in the middle, it's yellowish, like flow.
What I find
around.
interesting is that Moa and Millie, your aura of illumination sort of stands out against the dark, shadowy colors. Whereas Velynia's, yours almost blends in with the colors of this painted world. Slightly lighter shades.
Symbolism.
I would like you
Symbolism.
all to roll perception as you are
Amazing.
making your way down this painted road.
Fuck yes, dude. Fuck yes. 29. Is that a fail too? 29.
26.
I perceive.
You're not salty at all about
Hey.
that.
I am pissed. I have never in my life had a 29 fail.
That is so not true because we played
That's
Scribes and
yeah, I know.
Scrolls.
You were there. Yeah.
But you were also much higher level against much higher level creatures.
Very true. Very true. I have never in all my 4 levels experienced this kind of injustice.
It was not, I will tell you, it was not a no-win situation, but it was a very small window of success.
This is going to be better, though. Things are looking up.
Okay. So we got, okay.
44.
All of you, as you are, so nobody critically succeeded, but you all did succeed.
Woohoo!
As you are walking down the street, you notice that wherever there are the painted lampposts or where lanterns are hung, and there's the sort of object source lighting, if you will, painted in there, where the shadow begins in places, or where the shadows are darkest at the entrance to open doorways or alleyways, you notice that the paint seems to still be wet. And as you move closer to them, you see the paint begin to move through the air like as if it were wet rivulets of paint running, and they sort of form into inky tendrils that are reaching toward you.
Oof. Don't like that.
There are several of them that are barring your progression forward as they reach from different parts of the street and either side. But you all rolled high enough that
We've reached the edge of the map.
you can attempt to quote unquote kill them, or you can attempt to do something about the this seeming living paint. You could attempt to scrape it away with a blade or something like that.
How does the casting the light spell on us and kind of emanating the...
That might work.
Is that what
I
you're
have
doing?
a plan if it doesn't.
Is that what you're doing, Moa? Casting light?
Yes, if the darkness, I'm casting a light spell more or less centered right behind, so it's on me, and that it's casting that 20 to 40 foot to get a little bit more bright in this area.
Just
Seeing
like
what
light,
that's gonna do.
just like light reflecting off of wet paint, you can now see these inky tendrils much more clearly, but it does nothing to dispel them.
Okay.
What you see is
knowledge.
wet paint very clearly.
Slap
my
'em with
idea.
some frostbite.
I pull out Natalin's knife, which is that +1 like magic knife. Very light in color. Very good, if a blade can be good.
And what are you going to do?
And
with it?
I want to scrape. I want to scrape like you would with a painter's knife.
Okay. I would
Or
like
a
you to
pocket
make
knife.
a thievery check. What were you doing, Millie?
Thievery.
Gonna hit it with ice, man. I've got frostbite.
Thievery is sort of like using like a sleight of hand kind of thing.
27.
That's a fail. I'm just kidding.
I was about to come unfucking glued.
No, you very handily beat the DC.
Great.
Your what did you say? Ray of Frost? Is that what you said? No.
No, frostbite.
Frostbite. Is that
It's a fortitude save.
there is no save. You can roll damage.
Yes.
Excellent. That's
Freeze
what I
it.
want to hear.
Heat is to be kept at room temperature. Fuck
Mhm.
yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
So
So
proud of you.
that's going to be 3d4. So that's going to be 10 frost damage.
Nice.
And if it doesn't make a
Badass.
save, then I guess it automatically takes the thing, so it's weak 2 to bludgeoning damage.
Is there anything else you would like to do, Moa? Any sort of attack or other type attempt?
Looking at how well the frost, I think Mo would do this, like cast frost too at different locations. So just observing.
So, with these successes, you have identified and learned how to deal with the living brushstrokes. Unless you are otherwise occupied, you do not need to make any more rolls. Whenever these appear, you're able to either scrape them or freeze them. Sort of figuring out, hey, this is a hazard. We know how to recognize it now. They're actually very easily identified without having to make a perception check because of Moa's light spell. Because it clearly reflects off of the obviously wet paint sections.
Mm-hmm.
I would say keeping his sword, like the hilt is what he hit the light spell on. So it's like this light coming right from here, just being shone out.
Cool.
You continue and you find yourself eliminating the living brushstrokes that were emanating from the alleyway, where you see that they grabbed the name Relmar out of the air, and you see on the ground, laying there, you see all of the letters from both of you calling out Relmar. You see the several R's, the ELMAR, laying as if painted on the ground.
Wow. I call out again now that we're like here. I would call out Relma into the alley.
Thick, bold strokes, no drawn out R's, just Relmar. Painted in the air, and this time it sails, reaches the end of the street and moves around the corner. Almost immediately, words come around the corner and flying towards you, and you see the words appear in the air as you hear, "Hello? Who's there?"
Yes. Yes.
Let's go.
Wait, Moa, wait. Caution.
Moa takes off running.
I start
God
running,
damn it.
and then when she said, I stop and I go, yes, you're right. Caution.
I look at Millie and I just like roll my eyes. And I would sheath Natalin's dagger now that we appear to have at least got hot on the trail, and we're moving cautiously, and I still have my sword out just in case
And
anybody's curious.
I suddenly, after casting that frost, I meditate into a stance for a second, or an action.
Ooh. What was
Zorby.
what was that little roll about there, buddy?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
What do you guys? So you're approaching the intersection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And doing what?
I kind of would like look at the others and I'd be like, well, should we? And I guess I would probably kind of peek. Can I just peek around the corner?
You peek around the corner, and Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Oh, my luck done run out. That's a 13.
As you peer around the corner, you see that this next road looks very similar to this one. It's painted in a similar style. You can spot a couple places where the living brushstrokes are. And you do see what looks like a half a dozen of the painted, shadowy citizens of Sandpoint moving through the street. And they move past the living brushstrokes without problem. And you see, though, that one of this half dozen, as the others sort of move in, and you see doors opening and closing, and as doors suddenly shut, you see the word slam appear in the air briefly and drift away.
Oh my God.
You hear as another one is sort of creakily closes. You hear or see the words sort of jagged filtering down through the street.
Like Arthur Miller.
But then you see a more defined picture of a humanoid shape as it peels away from the wall. It's less shadow as it moves towards one of the painted lanterns, and you see the form that you recognize with paint-stained clothing, and you see a red aura around him. Relmar.
Red.
And as he steps into the light, you see as the light is a lantern hanging on a pole, so it's a lamppost, but it's more like just a lantern that hangs from it. And as he moves in and he sees you, he takes a step forward, and the lamppost bends down and wraps around him. And he calls out, "No!" And the words drift out towards you, and before they can even get to you, the lamppost on the other side of the street snatches them out of the air, throwing them to the ground. As you watch as these lampposts and parts of the buildings and even part of the sky seems to reshape itself and coalesce into an amorphous shape that the best I can describe is as if somebody has taken a piece of canvas with painting all over it, crumpled it up, and then picture it like if you took a piece of crumpled up paper with the shadows and everything on it, but it was a piece of green paper, and then you kind of chroma keyed it, so parts of the screen are there, so it's very difficult to fully see its shape. This creature, now holding Remar trapped within its amorphous form, is now advancing toward all of you.
Oh God.
It is a mural mimic.
What?
Okay.
Oh, what?
And I think we should end our session here.
Probably a good idea.
Rather than start, because I do not believe we'll be able to finish a fight in a timely fashion tonight.
Mural mimic.
This is a mural mimic.
That.
And
is
I thought it
something else.
fitting, because one, I like mimics. Two,
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking direct inspiration from Vi in our Sky Metal game, where we recently had to fight cavern mimics. Mimics that, and not only that, a corrupted cavern mimic.
Oh,
I'm
God.
like, how messed up can I make a mimic? Let me just see what Vi did.
Make it be the entire landscape. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. That,
Despite
wow.
the situation that has pulled you here, you guys seem to be liking the painted nature of the landscape.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is. And I didn't even, I was a dumbass because I didn't get the painted door. I still didn't get the reference until like a little bit after the break. And then I was like, oh.
It was, I almost made it be a green door with a brass handle that was painted.
You fucker. You fancy guy.
Mm-hmm. I was expecting that. I was
Yeah.
expecting it.
What
There's
are you
time.
suggesting that I sometimes cross my worlds?
I literally don't even remember the last time you did that.
Certainly not within the last 5 days.
Oh no.
So, this was essentially part 1 of the Painted Door arc called The Painted Door. That's what this episode will be called.
My God.
Nice.
There's
Uh-oh.
at least one more in this arc, probably 2 more sessions in this arc, as you've just gotten to the nightmare painting world of Relmar Edelon.
Alt Sandpoint, the Relmar realm. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well,
Wow.
thank you to everybody who supported the channel with the subs and the bits and all that stuff, because they're gonna need their, Tamiko, the session's not technically over if you still wanted to go for that bingo.
That.
Oh, sure. I'll spend a thing and
Oh,
draw a
So,
hero card.
because hero point cards
card.
are something that you can hold on to.
Ooh, okay.
I've had them pretty much since Scribes and Scrolls is when I added them, and nobody has used them until now.
Doing it now.
So I need to
Yes.
adjust the. So you went from
That's something
41. There we go. So here is how the hero points work.
I would love to know.
You have drawn Drain Power. You can play when you jot this number down, 36, so I can give you it's reference number 36. You can play when you activate a magic item that can cast a spell. Heighten the spell by 1 level. This can't heighten the item spell above half your level, rounded up, blah, 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 technical stuff. Basically, you get a free heighten on a spell from a magic item.
Dang.
The tag
Nice.
on it at the bottom is every last drop of magic. So
That's
I will
badass.
afterwards.
That sounds like
I like
something
it.
Millie would say. It's perfect.
I have basically incorporated the Paizo Hero Point deck into a randomized
Dude.
drawing system.
The graphic is beautiful. I regret never using this before.
I made
now.
that graphic probably close to 2 years ago. I think. I don't remember how long ago it was. Nonetheless, they're there, and you get a bingo.
Hey,
Woohoo!
congratulations.
Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, thank you to everybody who supported. Of course, support gives them domain dice that they can use for things like hero points and all that good stuff. Thank you for everybody hanging out in the chat, or if you are somebody that likes to lurk and or you're watching the VOD later, know that we appreciate you and hope you are enjoying the show. Yeah, this was something we had to come up with a fun side quest to keep you guys occupied until the others can return.
Cool idea.
But it's all part of the greater Sandpoint story, the 7 Doom story. At this point, it's probably like 7.5 Dooms.
This is the 0.5.
This is or 7.1. I want to leave room for more iterations of Dooms.
Jacob, when we asked for a flashback episode, we didn't mean this.
Yeah.
I was originally going to go with flashbacks, and then I realized Natalin and Lumi would be present in your flashbacks. And I want to save.
Tough when they're not here.
And I had mentioned this to you guys before, but something I would like to do in the future with your flashbacks is I want to do what do they call it? What did we call them, Cari, when they were standalones?
Interludes.
Interludes. I want to do one-on-one interludes with each of you. I want to flash back to Moa, flashback to Millie, Lumi, Natalin, and Velynia solo, finding out places, things we figured out together what we're gonna flash back to, and then we do a 1 or 2 hour session of that. I think this gives us and the audience a chance to get an even deeper look at your motivations and what makes up your character. I think we did like 3 or 4 of them for each character with Scribes and Scrolls, and they were a lot of fun to do. Anyway, yeah, sorry, Tamiko, you have to put up with my twisted brain when you can actually thank, for this particular scenario, Mike the Piper. A few years ago when we played in our All That Glitters Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, we visited, I think, a lighthouse, and in the lighthouse there were a bunch of paintings that came to life and started attacking us. And I thought, let me take that and let me just crank it all the way up to 11. So,
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks.
Mike.
Let's be fair. I'm putting blame on other people. This is entirely my doing, and I take full ownership of how I am messing with you and threatening your characters' lives. So,
There you go.
with
Good
that,
stuff.
I will say a huge thank you to Tamiko, Cari, and Jay. And though they are not with us, they are with us in spirit, Vi and Kaeryn, without whom this would just be me giving them a free bingo space as I talk to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. So I raised my hand because I literally almost just went, with that, goodbye. I almost just didn't do the catch line I've done, the outro I've done for like 600 times.
3 times a week for the last however many
Like
years.
8 years. For like 8 years. With that, bye.
That would have thrown everyone off.
It's like that time when I started the stream and I went, hey, internets, it's Jay. And everybody was like, what's happening? Let's try this again.
I don't like it. The cadence is off.
With that, we're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want. MTD.
Metadib. I don't know if that's right. It seems off.
Bye.